Hello everyone, it is math time. Today is Monday, May 4th, 2020. Today we are going to talk about tally charts and bar graphs. So let's get started with reading our job. I will analyze and interpret a tally chart and a bar graph. When we say analyze and interpret, that means we look at a chart and we explain what the charts are telling us, what it's showing us. So let's get started. We're going to read this book called Tally Charts, found in Epic. Okay, Tally Charts by Shara G. Edgar. So do you think this book, this text is an informational text? Do you think it's a nonfiction, fiction? What do you think? You're right, it is a nonfiction and it is an informational text. It's going to teach us about tally charts. Tally charts is the topic of this text, and as you notice, and we've talked about in the past, that many informational texts will have a table of contents which tell us what we're going to find inside this text, and we know that the numbers represent the page numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. What is a tally chart? Well, Emma wants to count her money. She can use a tally chart. Tally charts help people count. So, tally charts keep track of data. Emma can use the data in a graph later. So let's take a look at this. A tally chart has a title. So as you see here, it's My Money is the title. Then we see these labels right here. We have dimes, quarters, and dollars. And these little lines, we call them tallies. And so that's why, and then this whole thing all put together this way is a tally chart. So if we're taking a look here, and Emma has some money in her piggy bank, this is her money. We can count the money, or we can just simply look at the chart to help us tell how much she has. And really, it's not even how much, it's how many dimes does she have, how many quarters does she have, how many dollars. Each one of these tallies represents one. So we show here 1, 2, 3. We have 3 tally marks here, which matches the total here. Then let's look at quarters. Let's count the quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you also see this here, 5, but you also see this line across. So let's talk about that in particular. When we see tally marks like this with a tally mark that goes diagonal like this, we know that that is 5. We don't have to count it. We just know it's 5. Let's count just to make sure though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then across, that makes 5. So when we see this grouping like this here, we know that's 5. So then we can use the count on strategy just to count how many quarters. We don't have to count each individual tally mark if it shows this way. We know this is 5 and then 6. That shows 6 for total. How many dollars does she have? Right, 3. So this tally chart, when we analyze it and we interpret it, we can say, well, this tally chart is showing us how many dimes, how many quarters, and how many dollars Emma has in her piggy bank. And what could we say? What does she have most of? We're not talking about like how much is it worth. We're just talking about the quantity, how much. Which one does she have more of? Well, if we look, we know that she has more quarters. So that's how we can interpret a tally chart. This tells us that she has more quarters than dimes and dollars. And we can also say that she has the same amount of dimes and dollars. And so that is how you analyze and you interpret a chart. Let's keep going. Here we have another tally chart. This tally looks like a line. It stands out for an amount. One tally, and we've talked about this before, stands for one of something. We write tallies in groups of 5, and we kind of already talked about that. So when we get to 5, we know this grouping is 5, right? Okay, we kind of already talked about that. So let's take a look at this tally chart and let's analyze it and then interpret it. So first we're going to analyze. Okay, so let's read the title, Dog Colors. So we have green, orange, and blue. Now we're going to look to see how many of each this person has of the different dog colors. So remember, this is a grouping of 5. So do we have to count each one of these tallies? No, we know that's 5. So we can just use the count-on strategy and start there. So we're going to think big, count small. So we're going to say 5, 6, 7. That matches the total there. How many orange? 3. How many blue? 4. That's correct. So now we just analyzed the tally chart. We know there are 3 different colors of dogs, and we know that there are 7 green, 3 orange, and 4 blue. Now let's interpret it. What does this tell us? The least amount, they have less orange than all the other colors, right? Which one has the most? Green. So they have more green dogs than orange and blue, and the least amount color is orange. And so that's how you interpret this chart. Let's keep going. Making a tally chart. You're going to make a tally chart. That's not going to happen on this lesson. We're just going to practice analyzing and interpreting our charts. But we'll go ahead and read about making a tally chart, and then we'll come back and review this on our next lesson. All right. Nick likes milk. What drinks do his friends like? He made a tally chart to find out. So, Nick drew the tally chart. So he first, you notice he titled it My Friend's Drink. So remember, a tally chart has a title. And then he wrote in 3 drinks. He's just going to find out which of these 3 his friends like. He selected milk, juice, water. Okay. So Nick asked 10 friends what drinks they like, and he put a tally next to each drink. So let's see. Let's take a look and let's analyze. So there's milk, juice, water. And then this here shows 3 of his friends like milk. How many does that show? Do you need to count that? You don't need to count that, right? That just shows 5. 5 of his friends like juice. And then, you're right, 2 like water. So which drink is the least liked? Which one is the least liked? You're right, 2. I'm sorry, water, because only 2 of his friends, 2 out of his 10 friends like water, which is the most favorite drink. Right, juice, because 5 out of his 10 friends like juice, and then milk is in the middle. So, let's keep going. So here's just what we just talked about. 3, 5, and 2, and he wrote in the totals. After he did his tallies, his next job was to write the totals next to each of the tally marks. And now, he took it a step further. And we're also going to do this, but we're going to talk about this in our next lesson. He took his tally chart, and he created what this is called a bar graph. Any idea why this is called a bar graph? Right, if you said because we have bars here, you're absolutely right. So if you notice his bar graph looks a little different, but he's going to use the information from his tally chart to create his bar graph. And he's just listing under here, instead of on the left-hand side, on the bottom, he lists the 3 drinks, and over here is the amounts. Okay, so he starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he goes all the way up to 5. And so if we were to analyze or interpret this bar graph, we could see that milk, see where it stops? 3, right? So 3 of his friends like milk. Juice, he went all the way up to the top to 5. That matches that. And then water, He went up to 2. So this is just a different way to represent the data that he collected. You can show it in a tally chart, and then you can use your tally chart to create a bar graph. So Nick can make the graph with his data, and Nick's friends like what best? You can see that the tallest one that goes highest is Juice, right? So we can easily tell by this chart that Juice is what his friends like the best. And the least, water, even though water is really good for you, right? Okay. So you are going to try it, but this is going to wait till the next lesson. And so I'm going to close this down. We're going to go back here. And again, your job today was to analyze and interpret a tally chart and a bar graph. But today we're only going to do a tally chart. So in your assignment, you're going to see this tally chart. You're going to look at the data in the tally chart, and you're going to answer these questions using the tally chart. So here you're analyzing and you're interpreting a tally chart. Okay, so you'll just start here. How many cookies did each boy eat? Well, if I look here, Kent, do we have to count each one of these? No, we know this is a group of 5, right? So we can count on 5, 6, 7, 8. Kent ate, he ate 8 cookies. Wow, I bet he might have a stomach ache, huh? So we fill in 8. And then you just continue to fill in the rest of your sheet here. Don't forget when you complete this in Google Classroom to click Turn In. And so we will come back on Wednesday, and we will create our own tally charts and a bar graph. So hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I will be talking to you soon. Goodbye.